We'll get to that. I'm pushing this out live.
Okay.
This is Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints. What's with this Saints Happy Cast? This has to be the worst Saints podcast in the world. Ralph can't say anyone's name right. Andrew doesn't know football. Everyone has a hard time listening to Dave. And is Kevin even there tonight? The audio with this podcast, my God, the audio, it's painful.
All right, everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Saints Happy Hour podcast on a Sunday. If you're in the live stream, you're joining us. Thank you. We now have really, really awful video. Say hello. I'm drunk. This is going to go badly.
This is like the Brady Bunch. I feel like I'm on the Brady Bunch. Kevin, look up at Andrew. Andrew, look down at Kevin. Andrew, look down.
So we got the video working. This computer, I can literally hear it. It's like a 1975 Chevy truck. It's like cranking. It's like working as hard as it can to make sure it doesn't go off the rails. But we make no promises. So
it needs like 5 fans pointed at it just to keep it cool.
Hey, man. Now that we have video, we are going to go top 100 in France. I just looked at the ratings. 131 in France for football podcast. So we'll be in the top 100 with video.
Maybe I should start talking in French for like 5% of the podcast.
Wait, are we competing with European football too?
I don't know. I'd have to.
I think it's just American football podcast.
Is all football together? Football, soccer, football, Americano?
So did all of you manage to not get arrested today? Because NFL players, that was a very, very difficult thing for them to do this weekend. 4 of them got arrested on the same day. Kevin, it was the first time ever, I believe, that 2 football players decided to team up and commit armed robbery. They were on separate teams, but they were both in Florida. That's a first.
I mean, you're looking for a comment. It's like, what are you doing? What was the story? Did they just plan a robbery and they just got busted? Like, what was the story?
I don't know. It was like a bad version of Hell or High Water, maybe? I don't know.
They weren't even teammates, right?
They weren't. One of them is on the Giants and one of them is on the Bucks or the Seahawks. If we did a scenario of all-time Saints players to team up and make a really bad decision and commit a robbery, Junior Galette would be one of them, but who would be the other?
Well, wasn't there 2? Wasn't there 2 that got? Remember, this is a couple of years ago. There were 2 guys that were like peeing in the woods, and
yes.
There were 2 guys that got arrested together. This actually happened.
I gotta look this up.
Keith
they were at somebody's apartment complex.
Yeah.
They had dropped off 2 ladies or whatever at their apartment complex, I think, and for some reason whipped it out and just started peeing. Yeah, who was that? It was a wide receiver.
They weren't. I mean, they were camp bodies. I don't think they were making the team anyway.
Keith Poole had to run away from the police when the Saints were training in Wisconsin way back when.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
And then there was the Joe Vitt story where he was chasing down the assailant
and
tore his Achilles.
Tore his Achilles, injured his wrist. I miss Joe Vitt. People were talking about Bountygate this weekend, and he made the 2012 season almost bearable. But
here we go. This was 2009. So this got them kicked off of the Super Bowl team. Let me hold on. I gotta try and delete this ad on NOLA.com. Hold on. Here we go. Byron Ely and Kolo Kapanui. Yeah, Byron Ely, 24 years old, and Kolomono Kapanui, 25, were arrested just before 1 a.m. at an apartment complex in Elmwood, which is out in Harahan. Two women had just pulled up to the Palmetto Creek Apartments in the 5100 block of Citrus Boulevard. I believe that's right by the Hobby Lobby now. No Olive Garden near there. Anyway, apparently the woman who was the passenger told the men who appeared to be drunk to stop. At that point, Eli allegedly turned around and exposed himself to the woman and started making lewd comments.
That is the worst idea I've ever heard in my life, Tom.
Yes.
A few moments later,
This idea.
Capanui also turned around, facing the woman driving the car, and started to fondle himself while making comments as well, police allege. This is alleged. This is alleged. This is alleged.
All alleged.
Eli and Capanui, a wide receiver and a tight end.
That is a cornucopia of bad decisions.
Yeah, but you know what? At least they have the defense of the coronavirus wasn't happening at the time. You know, it's like for you to get arrested during a stay-at-home order, that's next level.
It is. Ed Oliver got pulled over. He was drunk. He had guns in the car, weed. Not a good look for old Ed Oliver. Before we get to actual roster move the Saints made, Kevin, Sean Payton being quarantined is maybe the greatest thing to ever happen to this podcast, short of him doing the opening for us and insulting us. He gives no fucks and just starts talking about anything. He accused the Steelers and Mike Tomlin of supporting bounties because Mike Tomlin apparently gave James Harrison an envelope with $70,000 cash to pay his fine. And he accused Lovie Smith of tanking the season finale in 2014, which he totally did. But it's amazing.
Even a blind squirrel knew that.
I mean, but it's amazing. I love quarantine Sean Payton. What do you want him to spill his guts about next?
You know what? I want him to talk about what went down in the meetings that he had back in what was it, 2012? Like, I want him to spill the beans. What was in the phone conversations with him in the league offices or any meeting that he went to in New York? Like, what did Goodell say? What did the league attorneys say? I'd like to know that. And then after Tagliabue eventually cleared them all, I'd like to know if Sean Payton had anything to say to Goodell at a function later on.
How much more?
I love that he's not taking the high road. I love that he's still bitter.
No, dude, he knows he's like that cost me $6 million. Like Andrew, he's never getting over that ever.
He knows the exact dollar amount, the exact cents amount. He's probably got that number framed on a wall somewhere that he looks at.
How much more quarantine do we need for Sean Payton to just get on Instagram drunk and just pull out the blowtorch on Goodell? I figure, like, if he's still quarantined hardcore to like June 1st, there's like a 40% chance it'll be the pinned tweet on PFT Twitter feed. Sean Payton unloads on Goodell. I think we only need about 2 more weeks, Andrew.
I think you need more time than that. I think if it goes to the end of July, the beginning of August, like if it cuts into training camp, Payton will really get antsy, and he'll be like, we're fucking doing Zoom meetings, Google Hangouts. I got to teach 52 guys or 60 guys or whatever the hell number of people are in the camp. I got to try and teach an entire fucking playbook to 70 grown adults on Zoom, and I know they're not paying attention. So I could see him just getting pissed off and just flipping out. And
yeah, I'm with Kevin. I was going to say exactly that. If it gets to training camp, he's spilling state secrets.
Speaking of trying to like educate people on Zoom or educate people at home, do you think this would be a good idea for a reality show, Dave?
Yes.
I take a current NFL coach or college coach, and I give them 4 children under the age of 4, and they have to homeschool them because of the quarantine for a week. Do you think that would be interesting? I think it would be. Like Belichick having to deal with 4 kids under the age of 4 or toddlers and trying to get them to learn the alphabet. I think it could be interesting. Is that a terrible idea for a TV show?
Dave just muted himself, I think.
Oh, I did. Oh, okay. After editing, you can put together an hour-long show of anything and make it interesting. If you just have to cut it down to 47 minutes of airtime or 3 episodes. But you know what Belichick's really good at? Coaching football. You know what I want to see him do? Coach football. I really want to see football this fall. Instead of a fake reality show, what I really want to see is a reality show called Football. That's what I want to watch. It's really exciting. You never know what the fuck's gonna happen.
Did any of you watch the Bundesliga with no fans this weekend?
I did. Yeah.
It's weird. It's
a little
fucking
weird.
It's
It's
a
soccer,
lot
though.
weird.
I tell you what, I watched more Bundesliga this weekend than I ever have in my life.
What is this Bundesliga? Is it as good as Hedis? Remember when we were watching Hedis on the Ocho? That was
Oh God, that was amazing.
was still a highlight of my life. I
Yeah.
was talking about that the other day, actually. What is Bundesliga?
It's
not
the German soccer league.
Oh, boring.
Yeah. But it was
The
weird.
top flight German soccer league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they had
I
no
was watching Bayern Munich today.
Andrew, that game had the
What happened with Mönchengladbach?
Yeah.
That game had the intensity of a preseason game. Like, it was weird. Like,
It was a little weird, yeah.
You can hear
I mean, you hear weird echoes, and I'm sure it's going to be like that with football too, where it just doesn't sound right, and you wonder, especially with football, where it's such a physical game and you kind of need that atmosphere to get charged up. I just wonder if the hits aren't going to be as intense,
Are they gonna be able to not have, Kevin, the sideline mics and stuff? Because if you just have if all the regular noise you have is players talking and the sound from the field, like, you're gonna have cursing, insults, smack talk, and you're gonna have the Karens of the world just be mortified that their little children are hearing NFL players telling each other to go fuck themselves after they give up a first down.
Look, first of all, and I obviously don't blame Joe Buck for this. He was just the messenger, and he got killed on Twitter for it. But the idea of the networks piping in crowd noise and shit is abysmal. Go watch.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying they would pipe in crowd noise just for the viewers on TV, or would the players be able to hear it all?
No, I think it's for the broadcast.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Go watch the first season of Sports Night when they were recording the show and put in a laugh track on top of everything. It was terrible. Now, you can do that for a lot of these, for a lot of sitcoms where they put in a laugh track or a crowd reaction track. It doesn't work. It's not good. This is not going to happen. It's going to be hideous on a professional sports level. What they need to do is steal a page from the revamped XFL and focus the audio and the microphones on the players, on the game, on whatever. And tell everybody, look, everything you say is going to get picked up. So if you drop an F-bomb, you run the risk of getting fined. Yeah, some of that may get out. Some of it may get out, but it happened with the XFL. There were some guys that ended up cussing and it got through. I think focus on the players, on the team, focus on the coaches. I want to hear, what's his name? I want to hear Raiders guy going, all right, Sharky Avalanche 237 on 5. I want to hear that kind of shit.
Dave, I want to hear.
You know when players are mic'd up, though? NFL Films guys, like the crew, they have the best jobs because they have to comb through all that stuff, and they can't push out anything that's inappropriate. but they have files and files of Sean Payton just saying the most fucked up shit. And I mean, they're privy to that. They've been able to hear it. They've made the judgment call that that's not for public consumption, but it's just them, and it's in a vault somewhere. Imagine having access to that stuff.
I want to hear.
Rewind it back to the mid '90s or the early '90s before, and I know before. And I hate saying PC culture because, like, it makes it sound like I'm turning into Clay Travis or whatever. But to hell with that guy, whatever. I'm coming from a good place here. Imagine before people were really getting shunned or cracked on for saying certain things, and imagine the shit that was getting thrown at players were throwing at each other in a scrum and this and that in the fucking late 80s.
I mean, I heard Jim Morris censored. I can't imagine what he sounded like uncensored.
I mean,
okay, wait. So that's a good around the horn. Like, what if you could hear one? If you had access to one uncensored clip from any Saints coach in the history of the Saints.
Oh, that's easy. I want Sean Payton's phone call. I want Sean Payton's phone call from the NFL.
It has to be in the game. In a game.
I would go with Ditka.
What specifically? See, I would go with Payton after the no call. Like, I want to hear what he's saying. I want to hear what he's saying after the no call in the NFC Championship. Like, on the sideline immediately after it, for the 90 seconds after that, I want to hear what he's saying.
So to be different from Dave, then I want to hear Payton after the NFC divisional round game against the 49ers. I want to hear him post-game in the locker room or on the walk back where he is laying in to Greg Williams, where he's laying in to – I want to hear that, and I want to hear the rant in the locker room after the game.
Where he
You couldn't put two motherfuckers on Vernon fucking Davis. He's been killing us all fucking game. You couldn't put two motherfuckers on him. It's goal line. It's goal line, Greg. Oh, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna cover the tight end who's been killing us this fucking drive?
Yeah.
Fucking NFC title game at risk, Greg.
Do you remember when Ditka got into, I think this was his last game as a coach. He got into it with a fan verbally accosted him, and he just flicks the fan off and grabs his balls.
That was the Tennessee game in 1999 where the Saints.
That wasn't his last game?
No.
Immediately.
The Saints were playing Tennessee, and at the end of the half, and the Saints couldn't figure out what to fucking do, whether to kick a field goal to make it 10-6 or go for the touchdown to make it 10-10, and they ran out of time and did neither. And Ditka's walking to Ditka's walking to the locker room, and the fans are just laying into him, and he shoots him the finger and grabs his crotch. But it's like, dude, like, you fucked up the clock in a way that, like, we didn't even know it was possible. Like, kick a field goal. Go for the touchdown. Now let's do neither.
I'll never lose that visual because it was so awkward and herky-jerky.
Yeah.
Like, he throws up the middle finger and he grabs his crotch. And it's just like some things you can't unsee. It's like this frozen still in my memory forever.
Yeah.
There is not.
That's bad clock management.
Anyway, I'd love to hear the audio of what the fan was saying, what he said in response.
Between Juge and Ralph, there is not one single moment in Saints time that they do not know, and they know with incredible detail. The two of you should really just, like, there's a Saints museum in the Superdome, right? I feel like the two of you should be greeting everybody that walks into the Saints museum and just answering any questions that anybody might have.
Maybe after we die, post-mortem, they remove our brains and just have them in a little glass case.
We should do. We could do a Saints happy hour patron level, the $100 level, where me and Andrew call you up in the morning and you start your day with a Saints fact, courtesy of Andrew and Ralph. $100, $100 a month.
Call one of you guys is Rain and the other one is Man. You guys are like crazy.
It's scary that I can know a Saints Titans game from 1999, but there's only like a 80% chance that I can remember my anniversary. It's very, very, very depressing.
Yeah.
So
you donate your brains to science when you're gone.
The Saints, they used to have like a full Hall of Fame in Kenner, but now they moved it to the Dome, right? And it's just like a broom closet. Is that
wing.
correct?
Yeah.
A wing.
See, I remember this stuff, but if you were to line up every kid in my son's class, I could probably get like 3 names right.
Dude.
Right. Ever since you told Juge, ever since you told us about how you lived in France and your uncle or whoever it was mailed you the VHSs of all the games and you just watched it over and over, I always have this picture in my mind. I don't know if you guys ever remember that show on HBO a long time ago when we were kids called Dream On.
Yeah. Martin Tupper.
The main character.
Martin Tupper.
Grew up. Yeah, and he just grew up in front of a television, and his entire life revolved around all of his memories.
That was a great show.
That's you guys. That's you because you just grew up constantly watching Saints games on VHS, and so now your entire life is just how you relate. Saints games is how you relate to the world or whatever. And I think you and Ralph are both the same way. It's wild.
Okay, you guys got to get the immortal Brian Ben on the show then.
Brian Ben.
Hey, man. Ben on the show. You all ask him about Dream On. I'll ask him about I Come in Peace.
Hey, Kevin, Wendell Pierce said he would come on. We're working that. So you're asking him about The Wire. I want to talk about Jack Ryan. We'll give him like 45 seconds to say his favorite Saints memories. Then we're just pumping him for TV stuff, right?
Right. It's like, well, somebody's got to ask him about Treme.
Yeah. Treme.
Yeah.
He was on my flight to Miami the morning of the Super Bowl.
See?
He was Meghan Markle, the English princess, so I guess she's not anymore. I don't know. But he was her dad on Suits.
Oh, okay.
America stole Meghan Markle, just like we stole the whole country.
She was American.
Yeah.
Ralph, she was American already. We just got her back.
You got it backwards, yeah.
We got her back.
We got her back.
Well,
we stole Harry.
Canada?
We stole Harry. Is what we did. I had it backwards.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wait, are they in Canada?
No, they're in L.A.
Hang on, Harry.
Oh, they're in L.A.
And Meghan.
So they went to the only place in the world that is shut down until there's a cure.
Me and Andrew are now addicted to big name guests. We got Mina Kimes on.
Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Don't jinx it. We gotta get him on first.
I'm not gonna jinx it. I'm just gonna say, if you haven't listened to the Mina Kimes interview, please do, because the breaking news of Ty Montgomery has about 80% of the traffic as our show with Mina Kimes, which is a little bit upsetting. Yeah, it's disconcerting, man. Although we did raise a ton of money for the West Seattle Food Bank, so it was fun. It's just like, she's a huge guest. She has like 500,000 Twitter followers, and we figured that like it would do awesome and spectacular. And by the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have funny videos on there now that I spend way too much time making. But the Saints, Dave, they did actual news Friday. They did a news. They did. They signed Ty Montgomery.
Did.
Yeah, they signed him. Ty Montgomery. I had forgotten he was in the league still.
Right. So we should all be really excited about that. The guy that everybody thought was so washed up, he wasn't even in the league anymore. Yay! Woo! Yeah!
I don't know. He does like 9,000 things. You know?
Oh, great. So what's that saying?
Master of Jack of all trades, master of none. He's like He's like the football player.
Like the Taysom Hill of running backs.
Fred, how about this? We have Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Let's just use him as a running back.
He's like a Traveris Cadet Plus kind of guy, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, well,
like, what's the
does he
like?
return kicks? Does he return seriously? Is he a punt or kickoff returner?
Well, you know we have Deontay Harris, right?
Well, I know, but well, so what? That's it. We're just gonna stick with
Hopefully.
that position. Cannot possibly be upgraded in any
The
way,
only
shape, or form.
thing-
What is this complacency? What the fuck is with this complacency, Juge? You think
You want to replace
Saints?
Deontay Harris? You want to replace Breeze?
Here's the thing, Andrew. The only thing
somebody's gonna come in and fucking play better than somebody that's currently in the first spot at that position? Yes, I don't give a shit. How often do we hear
Dave
Payton
doesn't want
doing
Ramczyk to be extended. He wants Throckmorton to step in.
Here's my question. The only
all
thing
for
I
it.
ever remember Traveris Cadet doing is dropping critical touchdown passes against Tampa. He did it twice. When you compare someone
There
to
you go,
him,
Dave. Back to your original statement about Ralph's memory.
when you compare someone to Traveris Cadet, that doesn't in any shape or form get me excited.
Look, I'm not like expecting Ty Montgomery to be better than Deontay Harris. I'm just saying, like, they've signed him. He gets a chance. We get to see it, and it's you know, who the hell knows what's gonna happen.
I think the player that needs to be the most nervous about this is Traquan Smith. Because he is a receiver. He can play in the slot. He played a little bit outside. So
I'm all for adding anything to the betterment of the pass catching receiving game for sure.
And taking that a step further, Dave, if Traquan Smith should be nervous, little Jordan Humphrey should be nervous too.
Well, I was gonna bring up little Jordan Humphrey later when we did another topic, so I'm gonna keep mum about that right now.
Well, I saw Saints Twitter. They were bad mouthing my potential UDFA son, Throckmorton, as we're getting
Wait,
ready.
I thought I got Throck. Who did I take?
No, we got
Ralph has the first pick.
I get the first pick, and he's number one on my board. He's the number one on the big board, Throckmorton. But Saints Twitter was bad mouthing him, so I might have to bump him down.
It's gonna fall to me.
Yeah, so the draft order is Ralph first because he had a Zigbo last year, which was terrible. And you go second, Dave, since Lil Jordan Humphrey was better. And then I go last because of Granderson. And
Well,
then
Kevin, if he's here, Kevin will go third if he's here when we do the draft.
Well, no, actually, if Kevin is here when we do the draft, he's like the expansion team, so maybe he gets the first pick.
Oh, you know what, Kevin? You can have the first pick if you're here because there's like a 75% chance you won't be. So I will graciously give up the first pick to you if you show up when we have the UDFA adopted son draft. How about that?
And besides, he's not going to take the best one. He's not going to recognize any of these names. He's going to, he's
right. I'm going
to out of a hat.
Right, I'm going to blindfold myself and throw a dart at a dartboard. That's what I'm going to do.
You know what he'll do? He'll be like, little Jordan Humphrey, sounds great.
Who's the linebacker that juices, Andrew?
Bashi.
Bashi,
Joe
yeah,
Bashi.
he juiced and it cost him from getting drafted.
Even Sean after senior season too.
Glenn says even Sean Payton knows Kevin's not going to be there.
It's true.
It's true. So, the Saints, they keep making moving, and every time we think they're like done, and we're like, okay, they cut Warford, that kind of wraps it up. Like they keep doing stuff. Andrew, is there anything left for them to do now with this roster? Like, could you foresee them doing something else before training camp starts?
They have a little money after they got rid of Larry Warford, so Eli Apple's still out there, and I just wonder if at some point he doesn't get the money he wants, and it makes sense to bring him back. I would love that. I would feel much better about corner if Eli Apple is back.
I would love that. I would love to see that.
So I would be in favor of that. I mean, they don't have to do it, but I just feel like if he can't find a job, it kind of makes sense, right? At least bring him to camp, and if his foot's all messed up, then whatever. You can always cut him.
That would be if I have to play this sounder because the Saints brought back Eli Apple after the Raiders didn't sign him because he may or may not have 2 feet anymore. I'll be very, very excited. I'm not gonna lie.
And you get his mom back too. I know that.
Yeah,
really
his mom's a fun follow on Twitter because she gets saucy during the games. Speaking of the weekly daily podcast, guys, the Armchair Network has a complete variety of sports podcasts covering all sorts of topics. The Bird Calls, and as I read this text, starting June 1st, Bet Online will serve as the title sponsor for the Armchair Network as well as this show. So we will have a gambling sponsor again, which fits perfectly with our brand. I hope they give us free logins and gambling abilities. That would be amazing. In addition to Bet,
you see how excited he was right there with those hand motion?
Andrew, I am a gambling degenerate, and I have
Chef's
nothing.
kiss.
I bet on fucking NASCAR today. I
Did
bet
you?
on NASCAR.
How'd that work out? Did you bet on the golf? Did you bet on?
It didn't work out at all.
Didn't work out.
Did you bet on Bundesliga?
I didn't, because I felt like I knew less about Bundesliga than I know about NASCAR.
Did you bet on the on that skins game, that golf skins game today?
Nah, I'm not. Like, I need to bet. Like,
Are you betting on Korean baseball?
oh, am I?
I'm in on Korean baseball. I'm all in.
Who's your team?
NC Dinos.
Yes.
Oh, you're with like everybody. So like everybody's. I know on Pardon My Take, they're dinos.
Yeah,
they love that. Whatever that mascot is. What's the mascot?
Their fans literally riot.
Yeah.
That too.
So everybody's basically an NC Dinos fan. So whoever owns that franchise, that dude is worth like $100 million more now because of this.
But
half of America is now watching.
Sell some fucking merch in the States. I want to get a hat.
Yeah, I hope somebody better be working on that right now. If they're not, they need to hire me. I would be all over that. Let's come up with a plan. Let's get some NC Dinos merch. Let's get little stuffed mascots. Their fucking roided up mascot or whatever. Totally, dude.
So Kevin, since this is the first time we're doing this video and we can actually see each other's places, is this behind you the famous door where that strange girl walked into your house?
No, that is the back. That's the back door where she ended up banging on the door trying to get back in. And you can see the there's this is unrelated to the nutcase, but
that was going to be my next question.
So that is a result of once owning a 95-pound golden retriever who
clawing to get out
up on the wall when trying to get outside, because golden retrievers aren't known for their patience.
I just want.
So he would jump up and like scratch the wall, and eventually just started flaking the paint, and never got around to taking care of it.
Well, if a random person breaks into Kevin's house, we can create a sound effect for it. I hope it doesn't happen, because I'd hate for Kevin to get scared or get murdered on the live stream. Although, if a woman did come up,
but then we might be #1 in Malta.
Yeah, I mean, if a woman came in and Kevin had to subdue her to save his own life, it could go viral. It'd be like the non-funny version of that guy who was talking about Korea, and his kid walked in and like doing this, It'd be like the opposite. It'd be like the opposite of that.
Right.
But back to my promo that I was trying to read. The Armchair Network has the #1 skating podcast, The 9 Club, hosted by professional skaters Chris Robbins and Kelly Hart. And they have any sport you could want. Just search Armchair Media, wherever you get your podcasts, especially the Bird Calls. They are talking about who is the future of the Pelicans. Is it Ingram? Is it Lamar Ball? And they had a fun post on the anniversary of the Pelicans getting Zion. I know people were excited about this.
The Pels got Zion, dude. They got Zion. They got Zion. Zion is happy. Oh, this is great. They got Zion.
So that happened this past week. The Bird Rights covered all. They are the best Pelicans podcast, along with all the other podcasts from the Armchair Media Network. Just search The Bird Calls wherever you get your podcasts. Do it. They're awesome. So the next thing I want to talk about is I just lost my train of thought, but I'm going to keep going. The best celebrity.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well done.
The 2 and 2,
No,
right?
I was going to do the Twitter question, Andrew, of the two. If you're quarantined and you have to pick two NFL commentators, celebrities, whoever, to be quarantined with, who would you want to be quarantined with if you had to pick two? So, Andrew, I'll start with you. Which two NFL talking heads, celebrities, whatever, would you want to be quarantined with if you had to be quarantined with?
It has to be national media, right?
National media. So it can't be
So
local.
like it can't be like Deuce and Zach Streif or one of those guys.
I mean, if it could be local, I think you want Zach Streif and Bobby Hebert. Like, because it would just be drinking nonstop and fun.
I don't know. Come back to me. I gotta think about this.
Pass. Dave.
Pass.
I would say Romo,
That's a good answer.
for his obvious insight, and then you know who I'll take? I was gonna say Jay Glazer because he's like so in tune, and he's gonna get me all the info before anybody else. But I don't. Yeah, he drinks. He parties.
A little hyper.
Yeah, that's exactly my thing. Is like he's like, he works out like, and he's active, and I just
Here's
like to
the
hang
thing
out
that
and
worries
drink.
me
I
about
don't know.
Jay Glazer. He makes
Hope he would
people.
vibe.
Jay Glazer makes people call him the Glaze. That is.
Yeah, that's strike one.
That's true. I thought about this really, really long time. I think
that's strike 1 and 2.
number one on my list is got to be Diana Rossini because she is so plugged into the Saints. I think she could give you amazing stuff on the Saints.
She feels a little hyper too.
She does. But
I feel like Glazer and Rossini would be like too much for me. I'd have to be like, you gotta slow down. You gotta stop.
I want the Saints intel though. I want the Saints intel. Who else would be like top of the top for Saints intel nationally? Ed Werder's your Breeze guy.
I mean, Jen Hale. Jen Hale has been, the Benson's go-to for years.
That's true. Kevin, who would you want if you had to be quarantined?
Okay, so I didn't know that it necessarily had to be football specific.
It doesn't. Just go with whatever you want.
Okay, so I've got 3, and so I just
You're
got
gonna give us all wrestling people, aren't you?
No, it's either Shannon Sharp, Dan Levitard, or Bomani Jones.
There you go.
So I'd probably go Shannon and Levitard, but I could definitely see like Bomani's got chemistry with Levitard, and so it'd be cool hanging out with those guys the whole time.
Dude, I gotta say, Levitard and Bomani, I'm totally with you, but Shannon Sharp might be dead last on my list.
No, Bomani would be fun because he was a diehard Atlanta Falcons fan, and he claims that he gave it up and he's no longer a fan, but he still has a burning hatred of the Saints. So he would just be fun to talk. And he's agreed to come on this podcast. I'm going to start pestering him again in his DMs so he comes on when we have hate week and he can just and he can talk about Falcons. He can do it. People you don't want to be Chris Berman would be number one. Jason Cole, Lockenfora, Skip Bayless would be bad.
I mean, the top for me.
Schefter might be okay. I might like Schefter.
I would say Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith would be two. I don't know. I've always hated Joe Buck too. I don't know why I hate him so much. But I wouldn't want to be. I would never want to be hanging out with Joe Buck.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith would be on my list to hang out with because Stephen A. Smith, he totally went from like obscure NBA writer to the top of the fucking mountain, and he is all about the hustle. Like I feel like he could give me tips on how to like
it's true. Get the
podcast to a level where I can quit doing SEO and do this full time from my house. Like so I would just but he'd probably be annoyed with me like 35 minutes in. So that would be bad.
Yeah, none of y'all have said Peter King.
Oh fuck Peter King. That dude.
Because why would we want to hang out with him?
I'm still bitter.
Peter King would be on my no list.
Oh, okay. He'd be on my no list. Here's the thing about Peter King. He's very nice, but the way he treated the Saints during Bountygate, I will never ever fucking forgive him for being a mouthpiece for the league. And
Correct.
You know.
Oh, you know who I think I would like to hang out with? Joe Florio. I think I'd get down with him.
Mike Florio. Yeah.
Mike Florio. Joe Florio.
Yeah, we pulled a Ralph there.
Nice Ralph, Dave.
Yeah, you never go full Ralph. I went full Ralph. God damn it.
So you never want to go full Ralph, but you do want to become a $10 patron. So you can have
my wife
ship you a crew to Taysom Cup, and you can get access to every single thing this podcast produces. And we are only 37 patrons away from having 283 patrons, and when we get to 283 patrons, aka 28-3, we will
cutting it off. No more patrons.
No,
that's it. We need to stay at 28-3.
No, we'll keep going. But when we get to 283, 28-3, we will do something magical. I don't know what it is, but it'll be awesome. So if you haven't signed up, sign up today. Get us closer to 28-3, magical number. Just saying. Andrew, more Twitter questions. This is an actual Twitter question. Why? Nope, I just lost it. Okay, this is the question. Ramczyk, what's his contract going to be now that the Texans went stupid with Tunsil?
Yeah, what was the contract for Tunsil again? It was short term, right? It was a short term deal.
3 years, $66 million.
Holy shit, man. $22 million a year, huh?
$22 million a year. I mean, they had to give it to him because they gave up 2 number ones to get him. Like,
yeah. I mean, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if Ramczyk got. It's like Cam Jordan. Remember, his deal was a little bit less than market value, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Saints talked Ramczyk into being reasonable, and it ended up being 5 years, $99 million. Like a hair under, but like $20 million a year, basically. I mean, Ramczyk, whether it's with the Saints or on the open market, like he's probably getting a $100 million contract.
Yeah. This is a good question from Saints Recline, Kevin. If you recast your favorite action movie with Saints players and Falcons players, what movie would you recast?
This question needs way more time to think
about it.
A good answer.
I'm going to say Last Action Hero, Cam Jordan in the Schwarzenegger role, and let's say Julio Jones as, I don't remember who the bad guy was.
Grim Reaper?
Yeah, we'll say Julio Jones as him.
I mean, you could recast the Predator, and you could do like Drew Brees and Cam Jordan. Jesse.
Is there any action hero that's like really tiny, like really small? You guys think of any where we could pick Deontay Harris?
Tom Cruise is really small in real life.
Yeah. In Mission Impossible? Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins?
yeah, that's my answer. Lord of the Rings, Deontay Harris as Bilbo Baggins.
Wait, what was the question? Did it say action movie or just any movie?
Action movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings isn't action.
It's got action. It's nerd sci-fi action, but it's action still, right?
I mean, I would love to see, like a buddy cop movie like The Other Guys or something with Drew and Taysom. That would be cool.
That would be.
And then Matt Ryan would have to be the old weird wizard guy.
Ooh, somebody in the chat room said Ant-Man. Recast Ant-Man. Yeah.
The advantage of Lord of the Rings is that you'd force a Falcons player to dress as a wizard or a warlock.
But for Ant-Man, who would you recast as what Saints person would be the Michael Douglas role? You'd need maybe Loomis.
Kamara?
Yeah. I feel like you need fun Saints people in these recasts. You need like Cam Jordan, Kamara, Zach Strief wouldn't. We could go past people. We could squeeze in Zach Strief. Drew Brees is Captain America. Taysom is Thor. No, if you have
Taysom as Thor is that's the layup.
Yeah.
No, I mean if you've got Thor, you gotta have
Anzalone.
Yeah, except I don't have the sound. I don't have the sound up on my board because I'm a terrible.
Oh no, you've lost the Super Mario theme. I don't know if we can keep doing this show if you don't have it.
No, it's not that I don't have it. It's just not.
Shut it down right now.
Shut it down.
I quit. All right, I'm back.
All right.
That's me playing it.
Good job, Kevin. That's enough.
All right.
Kevin saves.
How long does that go?
Thank you for saving it.
Does it go all the way to the castle? Does it go into the castle?
It says 1 hour Super Mario Brothers theme song.
1 hour.
Wow. I think if we ever are fortunate enough to, when they find a cure for the Rona and we do our next live show, while people are waiting for the show to start, Kevin, we'll just play that for an hour. We'll just play Super Mario on a loop for an hour. I think people would love that. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the show for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. And hey, Andrew, you said before the show started it would be a complete and utter disaster, and we all agreed with you because this show is nothing if a complete technical disaster 65% of the time. But it wasn't. Like, we made it through.
Maybe that was our problem all along, is that we should have been doing video on all these shows and we would have never had any problem.
That's right. Wait, I got another movie. They could redo Space Jam. They could call it Lil Space Jam, and they could have Lil Jordan Humphrey instead of Michael Jordan. Lil Space Jam.
And who's the villain?
Who was the villain in the original one? The Monstars?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Which Falcon is the point guard on the Monstars?
Oh, I was gonna say it would be Brandon Browner and Darren Sharper, and you've got to stay away from the predators, from the sexual predators.
Bobby Petrino would coach the Monstars if we're recasting.
That's right. That's right, Bobby Petrino.
Those two Saints players we mentioned at the top of the show would be on the Monstars.
Yeah, those guys they're on the team too. Yeah. Exposing themselves.
And Albert Connell.
Oh, Albert Connell. We need to, and by the way, do it in the chat room in the comments. We'll do it after, but send the your ideas to @SaintsHappyHour on Twitter. We need to start deciding on the bracket that we do in the summer that Dave hates, but we got to fill fucking like 6 weeks of time when there's no Saints news going on. We got to decide what our Saints bracket should be. So throw out ideas. We can build a bracket. We need Andrew, we need at least 32 things in our bracket.
Yeah.
Right?
I gotta say, this is like a bizarro episode now that we have video. You got Dave going full Ralph. You got Kevin eating candy or chocolate going full Dave.
Oh, I was eating chocolate. I was eating sweet tarts. I had a whole chocolate egg from Easter.
It's a brave new world.
A brave new world.
Dave, is your blood just 100% nougat or just 95% nougat at this point of quarantine?
No, there's caramel. It's the summer now, so there's a lot of snowball juice in there. I mean, it's not. I can't stand it when people just pin me down to nougat and think I'm a nougat only guy. That's not fair. That's bullshit. I am so much more than nougat.
Medicine's not a science.
Yeah, his blood is at least 33% yellow dye number 5.
Dave doesn't discriminate.
No.
I do not.
He's an equal opportunity candy eater.
That's okay. For the most part, I agree that's true. Banana runts, miss me with that shit, all right? Banana runts, miss me with that shit.
It's trash.
Nobody likes banana runts. Don't tell me.
No.
If you like banana runts, I'll tell you you're a terrorist. You're a psycho.
What was it that you were telling me about Peeps?
Yeah, that
They're
you
better if you can open the package and let them dry out and age for like 2-3 days. But
Yeah.
Sick motherfucker.
The people that make runts, you need to do what the Skittles people did. Skittles redesigned the taste of the green Skittle and made it awesome. Runts, you need to get rid of the banana and get another fucking fruit into the box of runts. That's what you need to do. So, it's a great way to end on football. So, for Dave, for Andrew, for Kevin, I'm Ralph. Thanks for joining us. Wasn't the video amazing? And we will see you next time because the bar is closed.